The following production is intended for entertainment purposes only. We are not legal professionals. We do not speak for any government agency, and the opinions expressed here are our own. Relax.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, nothing. I'm in a weird funk, and it seems like the whole universe is moving like this, and I want to get your opinion. Or see if this is just happening to you or if it's just me. I'm pretty sure it's just me, but I am pissed off at everyone lately.
Yeah, me too.
I'm pissed off at everyone. Everything is an attack, and everyone is fighting about everything right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I slept on the couch last night just because I wanted to sleep on the couch last night.
Yeah. You want to have a little slumber party with yourself?
Okay. And everybody, Caleb woke me up at like 5 this morning while he was getting up, and sometimes I wake up at 5, but I didn't want to wake up at 5 this morning. I wanted to sleep in a little bit, and he didn't know that. He didn't know. He didn't know I was on the couch. And B, he didn't know that I was wanting to sleep in until 6.
Yeah, because if you want to sleep in, the couch probably isn't the place to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like taking a nap I'm the biggest perpetrator of this, but taking a nap on the couch is an exercise in futility. In my house.
Yeah. But you end up wasting like most of your nap time by trying to make it work.
Yeah.
It's the same when I'm trying to take a nap and I have to take a leak. And I'm just like, oh, but I don't want to get up. I just want to lay here. And if I would just get up and use the restroom,
right,
I would be able to be back and asleep in a shorter amount of time than it would have taken. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the same thing happens in both those situations where you end up getting a shittier and shittier nap. So you don't like this nap experience is getting bad, and you push the timeline for this nap back. Like, well, now I got to be here till 4:30. Well, now I got to be here till 5.
Yeah. When you take a nap, do you do like a timer or an alarm?
It depends if it's the weekend or not.
Okay.
Or it depends if I have something going on. I don't like to nap more than 2 hours at the most, but like an hour I think is the perfect nap time for me.
Yeah. I try to do so I've got like a 33-minute timer and an hour and 3-minute timer because I give myself 3 minutes to fall asleep. But a lot of times I'll wake up maybe 20 minutes into it and I'll just feel good. I'll just be able to get up and feel refreshed and ready to go.
Power nap. We used to do that all the time because in any field, I'm sure people have stories like this in any field, but we used to take 20-minute like power hour naps or power naps, 10 minutes sometimes. Like when you're up for days, you take every single minute you can get.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you, did you ever sleep or take naps on third shift?
Pardon me?
The statute of limitations is expired.
Did I? Okay. Well, then, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your story. There is a senior deputy who taught me how to take naps in my patrol car while I was on FTD.
Okay. Yeah, for the longest time, dude. So there were a couple times when I was a deputy. Not many, because most of the time on third shift I was partnered up with another deputy. But there were a few times where I took a little snooze, but as a supervisor, that's when it was, dude, I felt terrible about it. I hated it, but it was at the point where I would go to the squad room at say 4:00 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And if I leaned my head against the wall at the urinal, I could fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like it was bad. Feel like you're falling asleep driving home or
I just
driving.
Felt that feeling. I know that feeling. I just felt that, like putting your head against the wall. I'm like, oh, I could do it right here.
I could just totally sleep. So sometimes what I would do is I would back in my driveway and I would turn my radio like max volume on the mobile and max volume on the portable. So if I if I did fall asleep, because most of the time I would just try to
But
like
why the
rest my
volume
eyes.
up on the radio?
What do you mean?
Were you trying to stay awake?
Well, I mean, I'm the supervisor, so I got to be awake if anybody's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we are coming at this from different angles.
you were trying to avoid the chatter.
Well,
Yeah.
differently, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was always afraid that I'd like miss something or like wake up, have to make a snap decision or, snap judgment. So I really tried not to, but man, there were times when just couldn't help it. It was dangerous not to.
Man. So this, I think I'm so awful with names, but I know you know who I'm talking about. He's long retired now, but he was the most senior deputy on first shift. He was my FTD, Mark.
Oh, okay.
He was like, so when you take a nap, he's like, you want to find some place like at a golf cart or anywhere.
How are you going to take a nap on first shift?
Brother, he knew, and he did. What you do is you find like some place that's got big back walls that you can back up into. He's talking like, imagine those big cinder block walls like around a trash can or the back of the back of a building. Back up to one of these big walls, turn your radar on and put the sensitivity at maximum. So like it'll pick it. And if you don't know, whenever radars make a tone whenever something's getting close to you or whenever something's going really fast, I guess the tone intensifies as it gets closer to you.
Yeah.
It's a higher pitch if it's fast. The higher the pitch, the faster it is, but the volume is dependent on how close it is to you. So you turn the sensitivity up on your radar so it picks up whoever's walking up to you. Back up, turn all your lights out, turn the rate or the your car radio, like your walkie-talkie radio. I'm trying to on maximum, so whenever it keys up, it wakes you up. But everything else, lights down, sleep mask on.
No, he did not wear a sleep mask.
No, he didn't wear a sleep mask. But he was like, just do that. Sensitivity, volume up, and kick back, brother.
Would it actually pick up a person walking?
Yeah. It'll pick up dogs and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, I was always, I was nervous. Like, I didn't want to get ambushed or didn't want to have to wake up and make some type of decision. But I was also like, I felt bad about it. I felt like it was wrong to sleep on the job, but I had all kinds of justifications, and probably the one that I would hold today is, it was dangerous to not have taken a rest.
Yeah, man, that was a weird balance, and I know you were in it, but I was in it too. Of like, the shift is undermanned. I need to be here. I need these people need me. You know what I mean? The team needs me, but I'm having a hard time functioning. Like keeping my eyes awake at calls sometimes if there's a dull moment.
Well, that was, there was a time, it was the last full year before I left, where I was working all that overtime. I was working all that overtime and part-times, and I was legit many days working 20 hours a day, just working as many shifts as I could. And it's
you were on the clock for 20 hours
on the clock. Yeah. And so that's not including like
travel
drive time or sleeping, showering, getting dressed, right? Which it takes a while. I mean, I would generally try to get my uniforms ready before I went to bed so I could just wake up and,
still it takes some time just to get your stuff on,
getting all your pins. And I was always real weird about like ironing. No, just like ironing, making sure that like everything looked sharp, and it legit took me a while to get everything prepared. So like it's just kind of, there was one person, and I like him a lot. He's I think he's still a lieutenant. Great guy. There was one person in all of that ever asked, "Hey, are you getting enough sleep?" And who knows why? Probably because I looked like I was dying. But it was just weird that.
Who was that?
Dan.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I got a lot of respect for him.
He's golden. He's a good person there.
But yeah, it just struck me as odd that didn't raise any flags, or like, not that it's anybody's responsibility.
No one said anything,
but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, man,
if someone is in your leadership, like if someone is just one step above you, I feel like they would have to go out of their way to not see that, but to not observe that you are burning the candle at every end and in the middle.
Yeah.
When you're doing that.
Because I would come in, I would check on the radio, 27-10-8 at 2:30 in the morning, or
you see their time. In the morning.
Yeah.
You see their time when they came on.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one of now the worst, the absolute hardest, was when you were working in the hospital overnight. Dude, did you ever have to do that?
Yeah. All the time.
Was that not years. especially when it was maybe cold outside and the heater's on?
Inmates leaving while I was sleeping in the chair next to them.
Dude, what would you do? What would you do if you're you got the overnight shift, you just kind of relax in that crappy plastic, whatever that recliner is, hospital recliner. You open your eyes and he's gone. Shackles, handcuffs just hang.
Your handcuff key in your pocket missing.
Dude, I don't even know.
Glock is gone.
So the first thing you do is you're going to check the bathroom, right? Just hope that he's in there. What, are you going to the nurse's station? Hey, did you see?
You have to. You have to run to the nurse station, like, lock every door on this floor, and do a sprint sweep. And then you're like,
See,
dispatch 609.
Am I getting out? I've been having radio problems for the past hour and a half.
I just got ambushed.
See, I don't like raising alarms. So I would probably, and I would do this if I was like choking to death. I would just be like low key, "Hey, I think I'm choking to death." Like I would just calmly walk over and like, "Hey, have you seen anybody wearing a jumpsuit walking around? No big deal. It's nothing to worry about." But
I was looking for him.
Yeah, if you see him, just let him know I'm looking for him.
How many times did you play out or rehearse in your mind or even out loud shots fired calls or ambushed calls or like just different active shooter situations? Did you ever play that out in your mind?
Yeah, ambush calls all the time.
That was just constantly rotating.
Yeah. I still when I go to a urinal, will watch the reflection in the metal like thing. Like just because I don't know, I'm just always kind of like thinking about an ambush.
Yeah.
At the soda fountain at Quick Trip, or even at stoplights.
Yeah. Dude, there was a threat of violence recently in a workplace of mine, in like a professional setting. There was a threat of violence, and none of this stuff happens when I'm there. Like when I'm there, it is so boring. You could hear a pin drop. There's nothing going on. But the day I leave, or the day I go somewhere else, or the day, I have business in other places, just all hell breaks loose. There was a homeless guy who came into my work the other day and just started walking around being kind of crazy homeless. And they know how to deal with that. There's lots of crazy homeless people. Okay, sir. Well, then he tried to do a transaction that, like, all of a sudden he wants to get engaged in business. He was like, okay, well, now I'm going to buy everything in this place. And like, what do you mean I can't buy it? And so it got to irate. It kept progressing, and I reviewed all this on video, so I get to see like, oh, these people lost, like they did not know what was happening at this point. Like they had deer in the headlights look as it progressed from this point. As soon as he was like, oh, well, I guess I am gonna buy this, and they're like, they got back. He's like, no. It ended. I'm gonna stop doing any impersonations. It ended with his threatening of coming back and shooting the place up, clapping it up, coming back in this place. So yesterday that happened when I wasn't there. Yesterday I go back to work and I hear about all this, and I'm like, well, crime in Italy. I'm ready all day long. Like I'm at 11.
Now I'm sure that I know the answer to this, but you're not allowed to carry. Are you?
It's against policy.
Okay. That's all I need.
Yeah. It's against policy. But anyway, yeah, it was, you could hear pin drop all day. Not one thing, not one feather was out of place, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I leave, people are doing all the craziness.
Now, I know that we're probably walking a thin line here because I don't want you to violate the community standards, but doesn't it seem to you that if somebody really wanted, and I've always thought this,
we got to talk about community standards.
If we really do, because you need to get your shit under control.
Yeah. My bad.
But I've always thought that with threat calls, you know, whether it's a school or an airport or a mall or church, whatever, if like that is the threat is the goal, because or you might say terror is the goal, because if violence was the goal, then why would you warn somebody? Right. So right. If I warn you, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face, there's only one of a few things that I want. One is I want you to change what you're doing, or two, I want you to feel fear. Right. But I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to punch you in the face. If I actually want to hurt you, I'll just punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody is communicating violence or whatever, even if it's a threat, just a threat, that's something to be aware of. People need to know about that. I need to know, like, you're thinking about punching me in the face. But I don't know. The response typically is heightened security. Maybe we'll hire officers, or maybe we'll bring more people out to more security. But it just seems unnecessary.
You are thinking, yeah, there's a whole big spectrum of violence, and you are thinking efficiently. Efficient violence would be no warning, like maybe even a distraction, like something pops over there, and when he turns to look, then you just step in a #1 taekwondo punch, you know?
Yeah.
That would be the most efficient way to do it. But on the other end of the spectrum, it's a big giant spectrum, and at other ends there's the bravado, the puffing up the chest, the showmanship, the taking the shirt off unnecessarily before
the
a
peacock.
Fight. Yeah. That is part of it. That's more useful. See, what you're failing to realize is he wants these people to remember him, and whether there's going to be actual violence or not, he wants there to be respect, because he's feeling disrespected. He's feeling embarrassed. Okay. So you're not going to talk to me like this. Everyone knows. I know I'm a homeless drug addict. Yeah. I know everyone, but I want to pretend like I'm not. And whenever you're customer servicing me out of walking out of here with whatever, everyone knows you're embarrassing me. I'm going to get loud and, you know.
Do you remember the episode? It might be the very first episode of Eastbound and Down. I started watching it.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I am incredibly, what is it?
I'm talking too loud. Was it when he was arguing with his family?
I know I'm wrong, and I'm going to keep yelling, because if I don't, then I would admit that I'm wrong, or something like that.
Yeah. So what's happened with community standards? What are you talking about?
You tell me. So my wife was like, just last night, she said, hey, I tried to listen to which, by the way, she's now a listener. So make that 3. active listeners that we got.
No, I think that's 25, I believe. If she
Boom.
subscribed, she better subscribe.
Yeah, she needs. Yeah. But so she was like, "Hey, I tried
Just kidding.
I tried to watch your latest episode," and she said it wouldn't play or it was taken down or something. And I was like, "What?" So then I pulled it up, and sure enough, it says that it violated community standards.
Yeah.
Now, I have to assume that it was something you said, but I also have to assume that it was somebody from my world.
For let's address. Reasons. Okay.
And the most obvious to me is last week was the first week that this was actually published on my page.
On your social media.
Social media. Because up until that point, my settings were set to where nobody could see anything that I was tagged in. So I fixed that, and now people can see, and they promptly reported us, and the last video is not available, except on Spotify, you said.
Yeah, yeah. We got to keep that. We got to keep the cat in the bag on that. I don't want them to find another avenue to report us.
Yeah.
Why was it something I said? I mean, I agree it's likely something I said, but why?
Well, Clayton, I don't know if you're familiar with
yourself.
Yeah, if you know yourself, but no, I just think that's a good assumption.
No,
if we were on a,
did you listen to the episode?
I think so.
Okay, well, there's a problem.
I mean, I was there, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I think I did. At least half of it.
Well, I mean, I say some cuss words every now and then, but I don't think I say anything offensive.
Well, you probably say something offensive every episode, but not like that.
But I mean, what okay, I don't say anything that should be offensive if you're not a crybaby little bitch.
Exactly. And that's what I'm afraid we found. I'm afraid that somehow we have found our way into this guy's radar, or onto this guy's radar.
And do we want to say his name or not say his name?
Well, we don't know his name, except
okay. Yeah.
So this is weird, and if this is actually true, I think it's kind of hilarious that when you try, and actually this is interesting because I'm not logged into our account, right? So I'm logged in as my personal account,
right?
And I go to play the video, and it says this video is removed for violating community standards, and then learn more. I assume you're logged in to
Lawless's to Lawless's YouTube page. I'm not right now, and I wasn't last night.
Okay, so that's interesting. So when I click on learn more, it takes me to a profile, which seems like it just seems kind of weird that YouTube would be like, "Hey, this guy right here."
But why else would it take you to the profile when it says learn more?
I mean, that's got to be what it is, but it just seems odd that you're not learning anything. The only thing you're learning is here's the guy that ratted you out.
Here's a profile.
And he didn't even rat us out because we didn't do anything. Here's the guy that got his feelings hurt or got, I don't know.
Well, I don't want to offend if there's anyone reviewing this, unless you're a subscriber or a viewer. But if like someone at YouTube is watching this, I don't want to offend you or offend your sensibilities. But I would think that YouTube would have the responsibility to then investigate if there was something offensive actually said, and maybe note it or give me a timestamp. Like, give me a time where I can go back and see what was offensive.
Yeah, because otherwise you could just go through and just report anything that you don't like, and
that you don't agree with.
And I assume that probably happens. But if that's the case, then how would anything still be on the platform? You know, because like you said earlier, like everybody's fighting. Everybody's offended about something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Justin's friend that recently saw this, let me reach out to you personally. You.
Young person, listen to me right now.
There are probably legitimate reasons why you don't like me. I want to say, A, I'm sorry. B, let's move on. C, please stop reporting me. You don't have to watch this. If you don't like me that much, just don't watch it. Justin's still great. You're still going to have A-OK Justin without me. Just don't watch the video. Don't listen to it.
Oh, wait a second. What if the fear is that you are having an influence on me to the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
my pal is seeing the influence that you're having on his buddy Justin.
This might be someone in your church.
I'm just
My
gonna
ears started ringing when I said that. My blood pressure went up.
I'm just gonna start like casually tossing his profile name like into conversations.
Okay. Hey,
So,
do you
like,
know,
no, I'm just gonna call him like, "What's up, Thick Jim?" and just see what they say. If they say what, like,
are you Thick Jim 69?
and yeah, if they respond yes, what, then you know you got him. But if they say, "What'd you just say?"
Got him.
Got him. Okay, so here's something else that we need to figure out.
Okay.
And I got to be really, I mean, I just want to lay my cards out on the table. I have no argument. Okay. My only argument is that it's no, let me just lay it out. Tell me why I shouldn't have TikTok, because it's a freaking blast. It's so much more fun than Facebook or Instagram. It's like you're, instead of going from the jug of milk, you're going straight to the cow's teat.
Yeah.
Like it is fresh, like on the spot. I love it.
Boy, my computer is so great today. I've minimized our window and I'm Googling TikTok terms of service. And
I mean, you can Photoshop anything, but go ahead.
Okay, well, this is from TikTok.com. Terms, which governs the relationship as a service agreement between you and set forth. Oh, it's taken too long. My computer. Oh, they have intellectual property rights and they have the access to our service. When you agree to access to our service, you allow them to access all information on your device and the network it's on. So, and all devices on the network. So when you accept terms of service to TikTok, you're saying you can look at anything on my phone. And if you have the know-how, you can look at any device on this network. So in your Wi-Fi.
I'm just going to look something up real quick.
Go ahead. That's from TikTok.com.
Okay. I'm not disputing what you're saying, but I want to look at it. Where'd you find it?
I'll send you a link.
Yep, I found terms. Your relationship with us. This is probably real boring for anybody that's still with us.
Let's move on. So here's what I want to say is TikTok is Chinese spyware. I mean, and you've heard that before, right? I'm not the first person you're hearing that from.
Yeah, no, I've heard that.
Who have you heard it from? I mean, you really just you gave a dismissive face just then. You're like, I've never heard that. You might as well have rolled your eyes.
Honestly, the person that comes to mind is Dan Crenshaw.
Okay.
Like I'm replaying reels that I probably saw on TikTok,
I have a love-hate relationship.
Maybe Instagram. But yeah, I feel like he's the primary voice that I've heard.
Well, Joe Rogan's talked about it. Mike Glover's talked about it. There's a bunch of folks who've addressed this, but yeah, it's pretty egregious. They have total access to your phone, and so the obvious argument to they have total access to my phone is what would you say? Because I've told you that before. Like, well, they can see everything on your phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like, okay, fine. Okay, country of China, here you go. Like, what do you now? I get what you're. I get what you're saying.
I'm shaking my head and giving a disgust face
in disbelief. I can tell. But what are you gonna do? first off, your stuff is already all over the internet. Like I could,
Yeah.
if I wanted to, I could find your social security number. I could find your
Go ahead, say it.
profiles. I could
Booking photo.
find. Oh, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh, I thought you were.
But like it's already out there.
Uh-huh.
So
And we know that the U.S. is doing it too. Like Obama admitted that with the meta. How do you say that? Metadata. Over a decade ago. When was that? 2014. 2000 or no? I guess I started hearing about it around like 2008, 2009. That was when the whistleblowers first started coming out. Snowden and them. That was one of the things that he released is that, hey, the U.S. is collecting everyone's data without a warrant. Yours in the United States citizen right now, they're collecting your data without a warrant. And Obama came out and said, yeah, that's true, but it's metadata. And no one's looking at it. It's not like we have some guy in the back room looking at it with, he minimized it. So it's not like we have someone back there looking at it. But yeah, we are collecting metadata to fight terrorism.
We've got it, but we're not looking at it.
Yeah, we got it. We're not looking at it. And if we do look at it, it's just to hunt the bad guys. So yeah, the US is actively.
But what is metadata?
Large. So like zip files, I guess would be a way to explain it. So like if I were to send you everything on my phone right now, it would be too much for you, for the device even that you have to compute it all. What I would really have to do is to compress it into like a zip thing that if you do want to look at it, you have to A, have the space to open this up, and B, look for something specific on it, right? You'd have to unzip this and look for something specific on it. And it's kind of a pain. That might have been true in 2008 and 2009, but in 2025, when we're knocking on, we have something called quantum computers and supercomputers, and we have AI that can do that in a millisecond. And we have infinite space with the cloud, and the cloud isn't a real thing, but we have infinite space with, all these hard drives and all the space. They could do it, and they are doing it. When I say I mean, look at individual aspects of your data. Like they were doing this with the NSA was doing this and they still are doing this for catching domestic terrorists. Like, I want to see what that text was that you just sent in real time. I actually want to get a notification. Like if I'm your case officer, if I'm not your case officer, this is just going into a hard drive. But if you say the word bomb enough on YouTube or in your text, then the AI is going to notice that, and it's going to send me an email as your case officer. Well, now I want to, and this is kind of old technology, I want to know every conversation you said that, and I want you to bring that up for me and give me a time frame and do that. And now I'm going to listen to every single conversation where you said that, and I'm going to build a case against you. Or what if you're my political opponent, or you say something I don't like? Or what if you have a YouTube podcast and you're saying in this year, or this administration, it's anti-government stuff.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm kind of relying on, and again, like I know that my argument falls apart. I know it does. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of pathetic though, that the catch is that it's just so entertaining.
And those memes are fire. I see the videos.
Yeah, dude. So like by the time it gets distilled down to Instagram, generally they're like, it's refined, right? It's the good ones.
Yeah.
And TikTok is the raw ones.
Yeah.
Right. Before it gets distilled and boarded, all that kind of stuff.
Right off the tee.
Right off the tee. But I mean, that's kind of pathetic that I would trade my privacy for entertainment. And that's human nature. Like I'm not being too hard on myself. But I think the argument is, okay, like, what are you going to see?
Yeah.
Like I don't care. So I wouldn't want a personal acquaintance. Like I wouldn't mind you, a friend, somebody that I know and trust. I wouldn't want an acquaintance to go through my phone,
Right.
but I wouldn't care if a complete stranger did. Like, you don't even know.
Or a
these
doctor, or
people. I mean, man, we've talked about it before that I prefer to keep secrets from the people that can help me the best. So yeah, I don't want my doctor to see what I'm talking about or what I'm Googling. Do you think you've got brain cancer?
Yeah. When do you need to tell your doctor about your cholesterol? When do you need?
How long? Let's see. How long will it take to die from not eating?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my doctor to see that.
Yeah.
Or an acquaintance who's like, "Hey, man, are you okay?" But if it's a complete stranger, I don't care. Especially if it's a stranger in China.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be like, "Yeah, this dude's got problems, and he listens to great music." So
he listens to.
So what are we going to do?
Well, I get that. We make concessions on everything. That's a microscopic version of this bigger phenomenon, is that the concessions we make for comfort. So an example would be these smartphones. Here's the real big problem. There's so many problems with this, but one of them is that they're ruining our life, right? They're capturing our dopamine system. They're hijacking our time with our family, our productivity.
Dude, I don't want to hijack this.
Okay.
And I don't want to be like I'm some type of Puritan, but I was out to dinner with my daughter the other night, and every single person I saw at the tables waiting for to be seated was on their phone. Like you'd have a family of 4 and every person was on their phone.
Yeah. So I mean, it's crazy. There are new net conditions. I mean, it's not new. I've been hearing about this for like 10 years, but like there's official net conditions that you can develop just from walking and staring at your phone, or from having this hunch down look. They're awful for you. Phones are awful for you. Let's take it a step back. They're made with actual slave labor. The folks in China, the buildings that where these are made, have nets around them to catch the people that are trying to jump off from suicide. That's real. That's real. They have a net around the top of this building because so many workers that were making iPhones in the iPhone factory, were jumping off and committing suicide. They had to put a net around the building. Look, Google it. Google it right now if you're listening to this. Pause this video and go Google it.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know how the communist economy works. They're working for food and water and housing and for social credits. They're not working for money. That's slavery. Take it a step back. The materials that this is made out of, these precious stones and precious metals that like have to be sourced in. Found out this isn't true recently, that we have these in the United States, but there's some type of environmental. The EPA doesn't allow us to mine for them in the United States. But if we're mining for it in Africa, it's just fine. Africa and India, these stones that you need to make these, and by the way, those are made by slaves, or those are harvested by slaves. The metals and the stones that you need. Again, pause this video, go Google it. And this is stuff that they allow on Google. This whole thing is evil. But we make a concession for it. I have a 14. I like to think I'm a good person. This is proof that, that there's a dichotomy. There's a range in that. That's the real interesting observation, is the concessions we make.
Yeah. And it's easier to make those concessions when you're so far removed.
Yeah.
Because it obviously, if you drove to the factory, if you had to pick it up from the factory and you saw the net, or you saw the conditions, you would say, no thanks. Like, I don't want that. I'll go take my Nokia.
Yeah.
And if you saw the conditions of where they mined the materials and all of that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like if you're buying something from, this is a terrible example, you're buying something from Facebook Marketplace and you're like, I don't know about this yard trailer. Like, did you really buy this at Trailers and More and it just doesn't meet your needs, or did you steal it? You didn't. Like, I'm not stealing it, so you're going to sell it to somebody. I might as well buy it from you. Might as well be me. Like, you can, I think we make those concessions in a whole bunch of areas in life.
I was trying to see. I think I sent it to you. Did you see? I sent you articles of something that we mentioned on here before, but like the difference between food in here and other countries, and how they are. Oh, it's an Instagram video, and I definitely can't go back and watch all these. Dang, I was on a tear. But like another concession that we make, and it's because it's not right in our face. I hear what you're saying because we don't see it. The food, like we think our food here in America is a-okay. We think our education system is a-okay. You really have to be crazy to say that, right? But we behave as if it's a-okay. We behave as if our education system works. We behave, or we act as though that it's efficient. And I say that because we think the Department of Education, we think teachers, you think good and you think righteous. You think underpaid, underfunded, underserviced, but you think these are basically angels. And I don't know about that, but that's the image. That's why it's so self-righteous or why it's so righteous to think about the education system. Until you find out that we spend more on our education than any other country in the world, and we're like number 46, 47 out of 160 countries. I think only 60 of them are graded, and we're 46 or 47th on our education standards. Like we spend more and we have dumb people. Same thing with our food. We have the FDA, the EPA, we have all of these government agencies that our tax dollars fund to make sure that this is healthy, to make sure that we're getting the best medical care, to make sure that our prescriptions work. Like surely they're not going to just give us poison in our prescriptions, to make sure that our food is safe, to make sure that I'm not giving my kid poison. Like surely these government agencies are ensuring that.
Yeah.
Comes to find out we're the fattest, or I think Australia, like we're neck and neck with Australia sometimes, but usually we're the fattest, and we're definitely the most unhealthiest. Our age expectancy is going down, but we don't see it because I don't know.
Well, you don't see it when you're in the middle.
Yeah,
when you're in the middle of it, just like you don't notice your kid every day gets a little bit taller, then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, when did you get so tall?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same. Whoa, when did you get so fat? When did I get so fat?
Or when you look up and look around, why is everyone so fat?
Yeah. Yeah. And surely
that's not said in a way to try to shame anyone, any individual.
Yeah. But surely the people making those decisions and protecting us wouldn't have a financial interest, or
surely not,
or wouldn't have any kind of ulterior motive.
Yeah. It's man. I mean, so obviously we're being facetious. It's so crazy that we've allowed money to govern our politics so much. And so why this is so prevalent is because or at least in my mind is because Trump coming in and getting all these cabinet picks. Have you been following the cabinet picks?
Some of them. I saw one last night, made me laugh, that said he had named Warren G as the head of the Department of Regulators. But
I need to see that one. I need to see that if you send that to me.
I saw. I know Elon, RFK. I know there's
Tulsi Gabbard.
What's Tulsi doing?
The head of Department of Intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's going to be in charge of the 17 different intelligence agencies that are going on or that exist.
But any chance that she wouldn't have the authority to, but any chance any of those intelligence agencies are disbanded and defunded?
Yeah. She well the White House is the one that controls the White House and Congress controls the money. Technically the Congress, but the White House does too. Controls the money. And so yeah, they can turn that on and off anytime they want. And you don't have to get rid of something to like you don't have to officially disband the FBI to get rid of the FBI. You just stop giving money to the FBI.
Yeah. So
Goes away pretty quick.
From interviews I've heard with her, she seems like she's pretty central and libertarian-ish.
Yeah.
Do you think
she's a classic liberal?
Do you think that is it likely that we dissolve some of those agencies?
I think there's going to be a lot of overhaul. So that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed in the conversation. Is there's going to be a ton of overhaul, and there could be a lot of folks. There could be a lot of reorganization. I don't know what that looks like for the actual employees, although I think people need to be held accountable, and that's not at the individual worker level. That's up in the leadership levels, right? The accountability that needs to be had. But yeah, I mean, why do we have 17 intelligence agencies? Why is there, can't one do it? Why is there, how many different law enforcement federal agencies are there? Couldn't one do it? Don't we have one that's the federal law enforcement agency? Why do we have to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, all the others?
Mm-hmm.
That's not efficient. And so what these cabinets, that's my favorite one, where Elon and who else is going to be at the Department of something efficiency? Dodge. Have you heard about that? Huh. Oh, it's Elon and someone else is Trump's making a Department of Efficiency. And
doesn't even that seem a little redundant?
A Department of Efficiency? It should be, because they should be making sure they are efficient themselves. But yeah, we know about this from law enforcement agencies. The number one goal of every organization is to exist, to survive, to keep the lights on.
Once you exist, whether it's a unit or a task force or organization, once you exist, your goal is to continue existing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And so yeah, they are going to come up with every reason that they can to exist. And actually, I need more people. Actually, I need more money. Actually, I need more funding. Can we get another agency to help us out? And maybe there could be a honeypot where we could all share funding. Mm-hmm. Because like we say, CIA, you went over your budget. Your budget is just this. You can't fund all these narco terrorists in in Mexico and South America and fund this war in the Ukraine. You got to pick one. Okay, well, we're going to make this other intelligence agency. Okay, well, now we can give that other intelligence agency money and they can go fund the Ukraine war. Congratulations. So that's the bureaucracy that got out of control to get us where we're at. This Dodge, I think, is just supposed to be evaluating redundancy to get us to, I don't know, but people are scared. The people are scared, I think, because they have this fear of not existing, which is right, their organization not existing. But I also think that Americans and even the media is really scared about this because it's bringing to light the poison that's in our food. And it's not just two guys from the Midwest with 25 subscribers talking about this. It's a cabinet official. It's the son of congressman and the nephew of a president that's talking about this. A Kennedy in the White House is talking about this poison. People are talking about this corruption. It's validating one side and it's bringing a very inconvenient truth to the others. So it's driving past that cobalt mine in Africa and driving past that factory in Beijing that's making the iPhones. That's why people, I think, are starting to get so uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they wouldn't say it like that. They think that they're threatened. They think the Nazis in power, man. They think Hitler's here. And he's come to destroy everything.
So do you think that let me think about this because it might just be real obvious. Is that an intentional diversion? Do you think? Like, are there all of the um, politics and everything that I'm trying to phrase it appropriately. All of the conflict and nonsense over here, right? Because I think everybody would admit there's a lot of just like smoke and mirrors and fake outrage and just bullshit over here. Is that an intentional diversion to keep people from seeing the poison in our food and the manipulation and you might even, I'm not going to say mind control, but there's a level of it, like manipulation. We'll stick with that.
Yeah, it's definitely manipulated, and for some very, like, you can spin this to be justifiable, because obviously they do. They spin it to, they justify that their actions. But like everybody knows an example of this on both sides. As soon as something comes out in the news, or could come out, as soon as something happens in the world that you think is very important but could be a threat to the current establishment, the media, if they're on that side, whether it's right or left, will throw this other story out there that is totally unrelated, but they'll spend 90% of their time focusing on the Kardashians, or focusing on whatever, some sort of violence, or whatever the big distraction is. This injustice, this marginalized group is getting mistreated in this part of the world, and we all have to talk about that, while we're not talking about the pipeline in the Gulf that's been ruptured for years. You know what I mean? While we're not talking about our food being poisoned, we're talking about the Kardashians. And I know people use that word all the time. I think it's just kind of synonymous with media distraction.
Yeah.
The Kardashians.
Yeah.
We're focusing on the Kardashians when we're ignoring the environmental pollution. We're focused on the Kardashians when we're avoiding the geopolitical manipulation. Yeah, everybody's got a version of that, and I don't know if it's intentional. Well, yeah, sure, it's intentional, but I think the motives they think are right when they're doing that, because it's like someone bringing up my bald spot all the time. Like, they're like, "Hey man, your hair's thin," and "Hey man, your hair's thin." First time I'm gonna laugh. I'll even laugh pretty hard, and then then it's gonna start to get less funny. And like, "Hey man, let's stop talking about that." And as soon as you see that person, he's gonna say, "Hey, your hair's thin," and you're like, "Hey, did you see the Chiefs play last night?" You're gonna bring up something entirely different, or stop talking to them. Let's say it's a situation where you can't stop talking to them. They're in your workplace, or whatever, you're a major news organization. Instead of saying, as soon as he wants to talk about your bald spot, you're gonna be like, "Hey, Kardashians." Okay, yeah, Kardashians. And whatever version of Kardashians now is very important. This is an important Kardashian. Oh, important Kardashians.
Now, what if, and I'm going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, what if I had your phone and I knew the things that you were interested in?
Yeah.
And I knew how I could distract you, or I
know which emotional buttons to press.
Yeah, or I know what you're thinking. I know kind of like where you're headed. So I get that. And I think that, like, one of the concerns that I would have with TikTok, for example, or just people having access to my phone, is that that you could really, China,
or that was a big weave. We brought it way out there.
Brought it way back. But China, I don't think that they could really, I don't know that they could influence me so much. I mean, surely, but I don't have that much life left. But if my kids, if you can manipulate my kids into believing or thinking or acting a certain way, then you could take over a country. Then it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, even think about that with metadata and influencing elections and influencing other countries. What if I know that 50% of your, or let's say at first it's 30% of your population is really anti this party that we don't like. I'm China and I want to influence the US election. I know 30% are whatever, they don't like the current establishment. Well, I'm going and I don't like the current establishment, I'm going to feed them other things to make them share, to make them get more irate about this one thing, to where eventually it's 35% because they've shared and they're having kids and this is grown. This is a long game. And now it's 40. Now it's 45 and it's so loud and I'm getting in the weeds, but they're manipulating generations. That's how they're using this. And it's not you personally that needs to be afraid of it. It's, I think, what they could be doing with it, like you said, for your kids and on the larger scales. So like, yeah, for election manipulating. What if Iran had that information and they didn't want Trump to be in office, and they might have collected that data and offered it to the Biden and Harris administration? We're like, hey, we know Trump was doing this, or here's some news, or even we know his followers don't like this one thing about him, and you guys aren't talking about this. We know that all of this big red wave actually is anti-vaccine, and Trump is pro-vaccine. You guys should talk about this. It's things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think personally it's like, me personally, I'm just a drop in a very big ocean when it comes to the information. But I guess it's A, how it's happening, and B, what are they going to do with it?
I mean, I guess that's maybe a good way to look at it. Like if you think of a picture, I might be a pixel. Like I'm just a small part of it. But when I participate and you've got my information and his information and her information and their information, those pixels come together and create a picture.
Yeah.
And are we good with providing that picture to our political enemies? Not political, our national enemies, or.
Yeah, they're definitely our adversaries. I think it's kind of dangerous. And I know you weren't doing this like intentional, but I think it's dangerous to think of them as enemies, because I don't want to ever go to war with China, and I don't want to ever go to war with Russia. And I think if we keep thinking of them as our enemies, eventually it's unavoidable. They're definitely our adversaries in
What's
some
the difference?
Way. So like, you have an adversarial relationship. You can even have you can have a friendly adversarial relationship. Like if someone on your team, if you're on a real estate team and there's someone on your team that you're competing for something like world power, or you're competing for whatever the top position, or there's a prize or whatever, or if you're just for more commission, you might go out of your way. It's going to be competitive, and hypothetically, not you personally, but someone might go out of their way to, like, if they see one of their signs up, they might kick their sign over, or something. That's just an example of something they could do to maybe even to put them down. Yeah, like, I don't know. It crosses the bounds whenever it's an adversarial relationship to an enemy, because I think violence, I think war. Like, if there's an enemy, you're going to have to eventually fight them. But an adversary, I think there's still a hope for peace. Yeah, that example was stupid and it was going off the rails. But an adversary, there's still a hope for peace, and there's still a hope for reconciliation. If someone's your enemy, there's still a hope for reconciliation, but it's going to have to be after this inevitable conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So go ahead.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I guess I can, I don't remember where we were going with that, but I guess
we're a small pixel in this big picture, and you don't want our enemies to have the big picture.
Yeah, or at least I can see how that would be a problem.
Yeah. And that's kind of unavoidable. Like, I think that cat's already out of the bag. I think that happened as soon as, I think that's part of the progress of the human species. I think maybe getting way out there, I think, maybe one of the next phases of evolution might have to do with more AI, and in that space, like maybe a technological evolution is part of the human's next phase of evolution. There's lots of people much smarter than me that think that technology is going to have a role in humans' next phase of evolution. But that's way off in the future. Right here, what it looks like is we're going through the growing pains of this technological evolution. The growing pains is us using it against each other and us demonizing it, us weaponizing it here, us giving it a god complex here, or or putting it on this god stool here. We have to go through this phase to figure out where we're going to go. Wherever we're going to go, we have to go through this growing phase. 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, there was a large part of populations that were saying, look at this idiot boiling his water before he drinks it. Don't you know the God save you, dummy? Drink bacteria. And that's evolution working.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned it before, at least to you, not on here. I really think that, like, the story of the Tower of Babel in the Old Testament, that I can see a lot of similarities between that and our current technology, to where in the story of the Tower of Babel, all of these people spoke one language and they were all unified and they were going to build this tower and it was going to reach heaven. And God looked down and he saw that they were, these people are too smart, they're too good, they're too clever. If we don't confuse them, then they're going to build a tower and it's going to reach heaven. So I don't remember all of the details, but he created different languages and it caused confusion. And so they weren't able to complete the tower.
And the Bible says they will be like gods.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I can see a connection to today. And I almost wonder, even if back then, if the purpose of the story wasn't about technology,
right.
Obviously not in the same sense, but there was something where they were unified, and their unity ended up being a bad thing because they were unified in the wrong things. And so could you say today that, yeah, man, the world has never been smaller. You can contact somebody across the world in a
Mongolia.
second. Yeah. But is all of that connection, is it turning out for good, or is it ending up that it's going to be evil or cause destruction or pain?
Yeah.
And maybe all of that, I don't want to say unity, because that doesn't sound right, but maybe that unity, that connection, turns out we weren't made for that. Turns out that's not healthy, and that you can't, well, just like we talked about a couple weeks ago, it's not healthy to take on the burdens of the entire world.
Right.
I mean, it's enough
impossible
to take on the burdens of your family and of your neighbors. So maybe this connection isn't as good as we think.
Well, there's definitely aspects of it, but like I said, I think that cat's out of the bag. If you want to get to the real root cause, that cat came out of the bag with agriculture, with domesticating wildlife. Once that was the technology that set us on this irreversible path. As soon as you started domesticating wildlife and growing seeds, and just the act of planting seeds over and over again is genetically modifying them, because you're selecting the crops that you want to reproduce and discarding the ones that you're not. So we've always had, that's an OG human thing, is GMOs. GMOs are OG. But it is, as soon as we started domesticating wildlife and agriculture, we're on this path to where we don't know where it's going, but it's what got us to here, because that paved the way for stability in tribes, to get us out of the hunter-gatherer into farms and into ranches, where we don't have to spend our time fighting other wandering bands of hunter-gatherers. Now we can build forts, and we have time to think about religion, and we have time to look at the stars now that we're not looking down hunting everything. We have time to develop and turn into Greece and Persia and Africa and all these, rich historical ancient civilizations. And those led into what I would call the Middle Ages, but technically ancient times, like the 2000 years ago, post Greece, but more Roman, and even kind of post Egyptian, because at that time it was the Ptolemies. It was a Greek Egyptian pharaoh. So like, yeah, into the Roman age of 2,000 years ago, which leads us into the European conquest of the world, which, fast forward gets us to 2024. It all
Mhm.
started out of the necessity of, I get it, of domesticating wildlife and keeping the seeds of your favorite food that you find. You find an apple, keep that apple seed, and let's bury it. And that is going to lead us into AI. That's what led us into dystopian future.
Man, is it kind of depressing or maybe scary to think that there's really no way that this does not end in calamity, catastrophe, like destruction?
Yeah.
That's the only way. That's the only way, at least that I can think of right now,
Yeah.
that this ends.
Like with just us killing each other?
Either killing each other or the world just exploding, or I just don't like you can only improve something so far, so long before you destroy it.
So here's something cool to think about. Little thought exercise. Humans right now, we're nowhere near time to think about it, but we do only have 3 options for survival in the far future, because we know eventually our planet is going to die and our sun's going to explode, right? Like we know that based off of watching other suns there's a lifespan on suns and eventually suns explode. They say millions of years in the future. So eventually are you there? Are you frozen?
Yo, I'm here. I'm frozen in thought.
Eventually we are going to either escape our galaxy, but first we're going to have to learn how to escape planet Earth, or we're going to not do that. We're going to not be able to figure it out, and we're going to die when the sun explodes and die, yada. Or we're going to, I think I like this one. I like this as an option. I don't know if I like going through it. Like, and I got this from a video game. Willfully choose to not, like, we have the option to go to another galaxy and to keep this race going, but thinking willfully choose, no, we're going to go out. I think we're not going to escape. We're going to let our light go out with the sun. Eventually, humans are going to have to make one of those 3 options. We're going to escape the galaxy or the Earth. We're not going to be able to, and we'll die, or we will be able to and just choose not to. A kind of righteous suicide.
Yeah. So maybe. So one of the things
our kids are going to have to make that decision. We're going to be in one of those scenarios. Not our kids, but I'm saying our bloodline.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm seeing on TikTok, like nonstop, is these hearings about aliens and the UFOs. And so you're not seeing it because you're not on TikTok, but
yeah,
it's not like there's so many videos of these testimonies and
I'm pretty sure TikTok has an algorithm. They might be catering to just
probably so. Got him.
Got him.
We know what he's interested in. But it's basically just a given. Like people just accept the fact that, oh yeah, there's aliens.
There's something.
And I know I keep talking about it, and I know that every time I do, people are like, yeah, okay, what are we going to do about it? There's not, like, I still have to go to work today. I still have to pay my trash bill. I still have to, mow the yard.
What if a spacecraft comes over the White House? Like, what if it's Independence Day and a spacecraft comes over the White House, doesn't do anything, there's no envoys, there's no messages, but it's just there, and like you cannot avoid it? What does America do?
Talk about the Kardashians.
Go to work, Kardashians. Go to work, pay them bills, eat, Kardashians.
Yeah. I don't know. And like I said, I don't know what I want people to do.
I mean, our ancestors would say we're there now. Like with the existential crises that they thought of in the past.
Yeah.
We're there. Like eventually they're going to take prayer out of school. Yeah, Grandma, they did that 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Like we're past other people's apocalypse. and we don't care. It's not an apocalypse to us, but we also have Kardashians and we also have
And
technology.
we've got all these
work.
fun games. I've
Yeah,
got this game that I play on my phone that you move the balls to different cylinders.
Uh-huh.
And it's a puzzle. You got to have the different colors and you got to get 4 in a row, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
I waste so much time on it.
Yeah.
And in fact, this is kind of funny. My counselor a couple of weeks ago told me about an app. I think it's called 1Sec, if I remember right.
Yeah.
That you
giving
create.
a plug?
Yeah. Well, take it as you will. You create a shortcut on your phone that whenever you open a certain app, so Facebook, for example, is what I was using it on. It creates a shortcut to where it opens up another app to where it gives you like a 10-second countdown. So you press the app to open it. It gives a 10-second countdown where you're supposed to breathe in and then breathe out. And then it asks, why do you want to open this app?
Nice.
And how are you feeling?
Dude.
And so a lot of times I would just be like, never mind. And I don't want to go through that. And what I realized is that there are so many times that I just out of habit will open my phone. I'm at a stoplight. I'm whatever. I've got 3 seconds. I open my app. I don't have 10 seconds. I've got 3 seconds. And my phone is just capturing me, even in the small thing. Like instead of looking out the window and observing, I'm on my phone playing that game, or I'm on my phone doing that social media. Man. So I really liked that app, except that it was so infuriating because I didn't want to wait 10 seconds. I wanted it now. And then I found out, I found a little cheat, because most of the time, like the answer I would give, why are you logging into Facebook, is because I would check notifications. Like I open up the app, and even right now, there's a dot, or like a circle. So I would open that up, say, what's the notification?
Yeah, what is this?
So then what I found out is most of the notifications they give me are just stuff that I don't care about, but they succeeded in their goal, and their goal was to get me to open the app.
Yes.
And with that,
they even have an acronym for this in the app development world. It's time on app. It's like TOA. That's a metric that they grade themselves by, is TOA. They want their TOA time to increase.
Mm-hmm.
That is their goal, TOA.
And so honestly, I think that might be more malicious. No, not more malicious. That might be worse than China having my information, is that these developers know what makes me tick, and they know how to get me to log back into the app.
They're controlling your behavior.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in a small way. In a small way right now, because right now it's at stoplights, or it's, when I have 3 free seconds. But eventually I wouldn't say it is going to affect the way I think. And it is going to affect the way I behave. And it is going to affect how I treat people and what I think about people and who I associate with.
Well, think about this. Our access to information that's led to our theological deconstruction, or which changed a lot of our like social and political views, was largely the only way it was allowed to happen was because of the internet, and because of podcasts specifically, which is a form of social media. So social media, I mean, like, man, if my mom were to know that one day social media would lead to me, and her view would be losing my faith, even though I would say I didn't lose it, she would never let me. She wouldn't let me look at a cell phone. We wouldn't say the word cell phone. Like, there would be no cell phones. It'd be what? Like it would be the apocalypse. We're there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. Yes, some people, I don't know where I was really going with that, but some people's apocalypse has already happened, and it's because of, like, it's already changed you. That's what I was going to say, is this technology has already changed you. Has already changed the person. Has already changed your trajectory in life.
And even so, this is way outside of my scope of knowledge, but you could probably even say like physically changed my brain, or at least my kids' brains. You know, dopamine and what's the other feel good? Dopamine and serotonin. Like, yeah, when you open up the app and you get that notification, bam, this person likes me. Bam, this person cares about my opinion.
Everyone loved that picture.
I must look good in that picture, or I must look bad in that picture. Why is nobody liking this?
I'm so guilty of this.
Why is nobody liking this podcast? They must think that I'm an idiot, you know?
Oh man, dude, that's brutal. But the only thing that's keeping me going is there's a core group of, seems like it's just my friends that tell me that.
Just wait. My friends are now being exposed.
The only friends of yours that have seen this are also my friends so far,
except for the dude that reported us.
Yeah, and I know your name.
At least your screen name.
Yeah.
I Googled it, by the way, just to see if perchance that person also had a Instagram with the same handle. They don't.
Okay.
I was doing a little recon.
Man, where was I going? What's his name with the our guy confused me or got me off track.
You were saying about the 20. Were you talking about the subscribers?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, something. Yeah. Why it doesn't bother me that our subscribers are so low and that our views are kind of low is because that's a growing pain of any business or any endeavor starts off slow. And, we've talked about this before, but there are reasons that we started this podcast anyway. It's just as a way to chill. I think it's a scheduled time for me to chill with my homie, which is the most enjoyable part of it for me. But B, I think we talk about things. I know we talk about things that are struggles and our developments, that things other men and women, our age, are going through, or just in general. We talk about human problems that other humans are going through, and they can get some sort of insight from our experience. But also, I mean, that's a growth. Like if one day we're at 10,000 subscribers, it has to start with 0. If we're at 1 million subscribers, it has to start with 0. So the fact that it cannot happen fast. So the fact that we're at a couple dozen subscribers right now, it's cool. What's up, y'all? Hopefully that doubles
soon. They're on the ground level.
Yeah, you guys are on the ground floor.
What we need is, so if each subscriber will invite 4 other viewers, I can get them on the double platinum level, and that will get them special access to different things. And then if they invite people, then we'll get them on platinum. And I think if we just can create something resembling a pyramid,
okay, where the folks at the top, and if you bring more subscribers, theirs will go up to you.
Yeah, it all trickles
down. If they
down.
bring theirs, goes to them.
Yeah,
we're on to something there.
Think of a pyramid.
And
then think of a scheme.
Well, okay.
And then combine the two, and that's
you have multi-level marketing.
That's it. It works. If it didn't work, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's weird. Man, I wasted so much time. They got me before. Were you ever in multi-level marketing?
No, but dude, I've spent so much money, wasted so much money, and I was pissed about this the other day, on real estate programs.
Yeah, me too.
You know, that promised leads, and that, dude, I got hosed for another $500 by this company, and I'm just
don't say it. That will we can get in trouble for that.
Oh, but I hate them so much.
It's not the latest one. It's not the it's not them, is it?
No.
Okay.
That's still. Okay. I'm still a devoted follower to that.
Okay.
This program was the one that after I signed up. So while I'm talking to the dude, I Google them, look at their reviews, tons of great reviews. Seems like
paid for reviews. Yeah. Bot reviews.
Well, who knows? I didn't think that at the time, but it's $500. And the thing with real estate is people always look at it like, well, one closing would pay for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but you never get that one closing from that bullcrap program. But anyway, after I signed up for it, he's got me on the phone. I look at the reviews. I'm like, yeah, okay, this seems worth it. I go back and I'm looking at the reviews and I'm seeing all of these red flags, words that we just don't use in that context. You know, it's all of these reviews are written by somebody who speaks somebody who doesn't speak English as a first language.
Yeah.
Or at least
not American English.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. These are fake reviews. And, you know, in the coming months, I realized that, yeah, this is crap. It's a fraud. So then 2 days ago, I'm checking my bank statement and I'm like, $500. What in the world?
Oh, you didn't turn off?
They got me for another cycle.
Recurring.
Yes. And so, so then I called, it was after hours. I sent an email. They haven't responded.
You're not getting that money back, homie.
I'm not. I know I'm not. And like, I guess at the very least, I need to just make sure it doesn't happen again. But anyway, yeah, I've fallen for a lot of those type of schemes.
Man, I forgot our weave. But yeah, we got a couple dozen subscribers. That doesn't give me any disheart. That doesn't, whatever.
Yeah.
That's where you start.
I mean, we've still got the Scots, as far as I know.
You guys would be surprised to know that the people who are still listening, even to this episode, that there are episodes that were so bad we didn't even air them. Like, this is the best we got. Yes. There were some that were so bad we didn't even put them up.
There are some that are so bad they're just our little secret.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna redo that, or pretend like it never happened.
So I've got just a few more minutes. What else is on your mind? What else is going on in your world?
Nothing. I only have a few minutes myself, but you let me know we can cut this out or not, because it's gonna be at the end. I'll know exactly where it's at. My buddy Ray, who you know, tried calling me while we're on this podcast, like this specific one, and I texted him and said, "Hey, I'm podcasting. I'll call you back." And he said, "I went in." And so we have, I think, a head-to-head race, and I can be swayed either way between Scott and Ray.
I think maybe we should do a challenge.
Yeah, we're going to have a guest. If you've made it this far, and we might talk about it at the beginning of the next episode, we're going to have a guest on Lawless. It's not going to be just us two. We're going to have a guest, and it's going to be either our buddy Scott or either our buddy, kind of my Navy buddy, our buddy Ray.
Yeah, I think that we should make it a challenge between the two of them. Like, who wants it more?
Yeah, man. No, this is going to hurt my feelings, because I would say, if you're watching this, you should tell me, but one of them's not going to reply. It's going to hurt my feelings. If we have loyal listeners, it would be them, and even they're not going to hear it.
Yeah, it might be a while.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to message them or something. But we are going to have that's our latest thing, and that's a good way to end it, is we looking to the future. We're going to have a guest, and it's going to be either Scott. They're both going to be on at some point.
Yeah, but I like it. And if your name isn't Scott or Ray, and you want to come hang out with us,
write a comment, and I promise we'll see it. Okay. At least at this point,
just don't report it. Don't report
it. Write a comment. I'll look at it. Give me constructive criticism.
Yeah. What if you just send a message and says, "Hey, I don't like your opinion about this thing."
Yeah.
Or I don't like that you said this or that.
Great.
That's fair. We could probably even, if it's a good point, we could probably edit it out.
Or we can have a great, I know either way, we're going to have a great honest conversation.
Yeah.
You and I are going to talk about it. I got to stop vaping. It's so stupid.
Yeah, man.
It's so dumb. It's just, it's our word.
That's kind of funny. A couple things. First off, I'm chewing tobacco. I bought a can of tobacco.
No, you're not.
A couple days ago.
What?
I've been like 3 years, never even a craving. No, occasionally there's probably been.
Hey, hit the brakes. I don't want to hear about how tough you are with no cravings of tobacco because you're zenning. You didn't get off of nicotine. You just replaced the vehicle.
Hold on.
You just replaced
Hold
the
on.
vehicle of nicotine.
Settle
You little
down.
zenner.
Love the zen or hate the zen.
That's right.
I love that. So yeah, it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've even had a dip. I've had a couple times like when I'm golfing and somebody's got a can and I'm like, yeah, let me get a dip. But yeah, I bought this can the other day, and even
What'd you
though Copenhagen long cut straight.
Woo! All right.
It's not, I'm going to use the whole can because I just don't waste things.
Yeah.
But it's not as enjoyable as I remembered it.
Never is.
I don't like, one of the things I really like about my Zens,
Never go back home.
They're not even Zens, they're on. But one of the things I like about them is that I can move them side to side.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that out of habit the other day, and it got all. You've chewed tobacco. Yeah.
Remember, I used to walk around with Levi Garrett.
Yeah, I used to use the loose leaf.
Yeah.
I tried that for. Excuse me, got the hiccups. I tried that. I think we might have even done that together. Were we chewing Redman and Levi Garrett out on 54? Yeah.
Yeah.
It just creates so much spit and drool and.
I always had to have a red Solo cup with the paper towel in it because that was the only thing that could contain my. It tastes like raisins. It was like raisin juice.
Yeah, for sure.
It was delicious.
If you took just a handful of raisins, and stuck them in your cheek and just kind of munched on them, like just occasionally took a bite.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Except on the other side of your mouth. Okay, so take a big drink of water and a big mouth of a big handful of raisins, and that mixture, that punch that you got in your mouth, that's what happens when I chew Redman. Is I've just got this raisin punch that I got to spit out every couple of seconds.
My brother in Christ, I wish you had this all to talk about at the beginning of our conversation. I have to go. This is all stuff we have to talk about.
Can we talk? Okay. So
yeah, we'll talk about Redman and Levi Garrett and Coca-Cola with peanuts.
All right. Well, you get to your thing and I'll get to mine.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Later, buddy.
Bye.